Good day, everyone. In the previous episodes, I promised to do part 3, still on Kabiru Bala Okwo Ijule. Here we come. It is not over yet until it is over. Now the story continues. But before we go, let us quickly take a look at a recap of the 2 previous episodes. In episode 1, we were able to establish the fact that Kabiru Bala was never involved in the arson against Salome Acheju Abu, who was killed on election day in 2019 at her hometown, Ochadamu, because the culprits were 6 in numbers. They were arraigned and prosecuted and eventually convicted. They never indicted Kabiru Bala. The commissioner of police, as at that time, throughout the entire police investigation, they never indicted Kabiru Bala. And the family members of Salome Acheju also did not indict Kabiru Bala. So the second allegation was that Kabiru Bala and his gang were laid in Nigerian Navy troop at Aloma, where the troop were commanded to vegetable submission and surrendered 4 good rifles. They surrendered 4 good rifles to Okwo as alleged by the commissioner of police. Well, that should be a slap on the Nigerian military, because Nigerian military is one of the best to reckon with in the whole of Africa. Then how come 4 rifles were surrendered to Okwo, commanded them to vegetable submission? Well, that should be a question to answer by the commandant of the Nigerian Navy in Lokoja. Alright, in the second episode, we were able to establish the fact that Kabiru Bala was never on the run. He was everywhere, not actually terrorizing the Ochadamu, Ejule, and other environs as alleged by the commissioner of police, because Okwo was everywhere. Evidently, we gathered the facts and we showed it. He was everywhere campaigning for them, he worked for them, and he was the architect of their victories, as we mentioned, especially in Kogi East, where Okwo reigned supreme. So he was never on the run. Now, in part 3. Now, in this part, let's ask this simple question. What actually went wrong? What actually went wrong? If, from what we've all seen and was able to establish, is anything to go by, the relationship was so fruity, the relationship was so fantastic and so robust. As you can see here,
what we are looking for is capacity. And I know in Ghana Kingdom, you possess this capacity in abundance. And I know when you speak with one voice, every other part of the state will get the message. When that time comes, please speak with one.
Now, this is where the whole animosity started. Look at it. This is where it all started. You now have someone who you previously had an agreement with, betraying the trust, and then begin to work against you. This is where it started. All right. Okay. You now have the last straw that broke the camel's back. Okwo decided to exit the camp of Bello and work for the Igala agenda. That is the straw that broke the camel back. Look at it.
Onígbèmí kò dágbọ́dún mi ṣá máa bi ọmọ agbọ̀lá kúnẹ̀. Béèlì ọdọ mẹ́jọ àti ẹnẹ̀húndúkìtì wa ní. Omiṣẹ́ dé àbókì kúmáṣẹ́ gálà àkànyà. Bọ̀tọ̀ ọjọ́ àbúnẹ̀mí ṣe mú dábàá. Now, colleague and Abajo Chukola, Igala agenda, Kogi State agenda. Iti Baji, Chigala agenda, I change. Ma Chigala agenda, no, Kiri Baji, no. I should just sacrifice our. We Gala agenda. Ibaji. Ìbọn wọn lè dẹ̀ ó dún ní kí ẹ̀jẹ̀ gbólógòdò àwa tó dún ìgálà àjẹdà and I believe kàkí ìgálà àjẹdà láti àmì ẹ̀mẹ̀ka anáàtì tó dún kàkí ìgálà àjẹdà yìí ti ọmọ ya ẹ̀mẹ̀yà Okwo one of Kogi ní Ejule. Àti gálà àjẹdà tó dùn àràwọn tí gálà àjẹdà tó dùn ọmọ ya imúrúgẹ abẹ́yìn tí gbàjú gbà tí gálà àjẹdà àti.
Omi kùnà ṣe ó máa wù í. Mẹ̀dọ́ máa gbọ́bà àmọ́ máa ẹwà ìbò àìgálà dábàá òkè. Àkùnà àkàkọ́ làgálà máa kà í mú alùdó làgálà máa ní kíkọ àmọ̀rọ̀ àgbàpọ̀ máa hẹ̀dọ̀ lè ṣe ní. Ó máa kọ́ làgálà omi àdàlùbọ́ máa kọ́ làgálà rẹ̀ kú ilẹ̀ òyà òtẹ́hùn gbogbo ayé ní kakọ́ màdọ́ àwọn kú ọjọ́ lẹ́rẹ̀ òyà òtẹ́hùn kó tẹ́yìn ní. Iṣẹ́ àkúùnù mi pọ́jọ́ lẹ́rẹ̀ yìí ní tán bọ̀ náà àṣùtẹ́lẹ̀ wà kí gálà nù dẹ́pà wọ́n gbọ́kù wọ́n pọ́ máa bọ̀ nílẹ̀ máa
Agidere.
Dago. Ena dugi eno ngago gbo yo ki gweda ne. Ya ba edu. E o ko wo awita.
And then the power mongers decided to unleash their anger on Kabiru Bala Okwo. Now the Commissioner of Police told us the Kabiru Bala and his gang were neutralized. The meaning of neutralization, as mentioned by the Commissioner of Police, as you can see here, it means that they were able to match Kabiru Bala and his gang with full force, and in that regard, Kabiru was killed, and his gang members allegedly escaped with various degrees of injuries. Now, they said he was killed. They were able to match him fire for fire, and he was killed. These pictures you are seeing here, I never manufactured them. They were the pictures officially released by the security agencies, the Commissioner of Police, on the very day Okwo was neutralized. They told us he was neutralized. So they released this. So in the process, there were several media captions, and which were not palatable. Some people called him jailbreaker. Some said notorious criminal. Some said the killer of Achejo, Abo, neutralized, and all of that. Okay, there's no problem. Let us take a look at this. If actually he was neutralized in the process, or he was captured alive and tortured to death, we will have to establish the extrajudicial killing in this regard. Let's take a look at these pictures and you'll see it by yourselves. Okay, let's take a look at these pictures properly. Let's take a look at it and deduce the meaning from it. For someone who was killed by the JTF, fire for fire. But does this body look like the body someone who's killed by bullets? Because there's no sign of single bullet penetration on this body here. Someone who was neutralized by the JTF and the body is not raided with bullets, and no single stain of blood on the body. I mean, it baffles me. I don't know about you, but it baffles me that someone who was killed by bullets and there is no single sign of bullet penetration on the body. So you can see. Now, if you look at this body very well, if you look at this picture very well, there are two things on his two shoulders where he's been laid here. There are two things on the shoulders. Those two materials. There are two ropes tied to the end. One red, the other one white, as you can see here. So I suspect probably he was tied, dragged, and tortured to death. Yes, because there is no sign of bullet penetration, no blood stain anywhere, and they told the whole world that he was neutralized by the JTF. So this is questionable, and we are talking about a case of extrajudicial killing here in this regard. According to the law, when an enemy is captured or a criminal, an alleged criminal, because the person remains innocent until proven otherwise, proven guilty by the appropriate court of law in this country. So, if he was captured alive, why was he killed? Why was he killed? Because they cannot explain that someone who was neutralized by the JTF has no single bullet penetration, no single blood stain on his body. So, we want the whole world to see this and want the Commissioner of Police to see this. If you have power and you can exert your power to bury justice, the justice will still come after you when you are no longer in power. That is exactly what's happening here. And I'm going to leave you with this message to the sect.